Hey guys, welcome back. So I want to talk about the inspiration of the book cover now. So in the front page at least, or the front cover, you can see Turbo and his friends. So as I kind of mentioned with my previous book, The Adventures of Zorox, you always want to make sure that your front cover is kind of capturing what is happening in the story or an important moment in the story. And so the front centers focusing on the four main characters of the story. So kind of the idea was that I wanted to kind of showcase each character's kind of role or maybe their employment by what they were holding. So Turbo, he actually isn't really holding anything that's related to his job, but he's holding like a bucket of bubble oil, which is something that you'll find out if you read the story how that's relevant. But he uses this to take down Vindo's fleet of cruisers. And then James, who is the earthworm, I wanted to show that he was, a farmer, so I have him holding a watering can. Nutmeg, the squirrel, she is holding, those like life rafts that you use because she sells speedboats. And then Cinnamon is holding binoculars because she sells supplies. So I was trying to use like some type of object that kind of represents what they do or how they will show up in the story in some way. On the side of the cover, you can see the villains who are Vindo is the dog at the top of the boat. He's the leader of the carnivore nation or the leader of the carnivore army. And then Horizon, who is the lion in the lower part of the boat, is his like apprentice. And so you can see that Horizon is kind of fishing for diamonds. So there's diamonds in the bottom of the water. That kind of gets explained a little bit in the story, but wanted to showcase that like that's what they're doing in here. At the bottom of the boat, you can kind of see that there's like pollution. There's some green dirtied water around the boat. I wanted to make sure that I added that too because while they're stealing resources from the herbivores' country, they're also contaminating their water supply. So I wanted to make sure that that was captured in the front cover. This speedboat is actually Nutmeg's speedboat that she sells to Turbo and James, which they all four ultimately end up using anyway. But wanted to showcase that like this is their mode of transportation, at least at the beginning of the story. And because it is the Battle of the Boats, they are in a war against Vindo's fleet of cruisers with their tiny ships. So I wanted to make sure that I was showcasing like the dynamic between the boats. Obviously, the hero's boat is a lot more smaller and in size compared to the villain's boat, which makes a fun story, I guess. And then at the top here, you can see like a fighter jet. And ironically, the monkey and name in the jet is also Jet too. But he is also a character that's introduced later in the story. He is a huge help to the Herbarians. That's the official name of the herbivore group that you see here. But wanted to kind of foreshadow that he is a part of their adventure too, and that's why he is in the sky. I wanted to use yellow letters too because they pop. It captures the reader's attention. On the back, you'll also see kind of the same thing where I remember and this is why it's so important to kind of know what you want as a creative and making sure that you're giving creative feedback to your illustrator or to whoever you're working with. And he's so great. Antonio Kitsuneki is my illustrator. I know like he first made the top and bottom letters in black, but I actually wanted them to be yellow so they could pop and capture the reader's attention. And so like it's consistent with these yellow bubble letters at the front. And so at the back cover, I think it's also important to showcase characters in the back cover as well, just as I have in the front cover. So the characters on the back are going to be like your more secondary characters that are not maybe as important, or as their presence isn't as consistent as the characters in the front. But we have Monty, the sea turtle, and then Turbine, the dolphin. So they are kind of the aquatic help in the adventure who kind of step in the middle of the story when things get really tricky and difficult for Turbo and his team. And then here we have Gravel Pebbles. I know that's a silly name, but again, I was in middle school. He is an interesting character who makes things a lot more difficult for Turbo and his team. I won't give it away because you should read the story if you want to find out what happens. But he is sneaky, and so that's why he looks very evil with his walkie-talkie. And yeah, that's pretty much the inspiration behind the cover. Yeah.